Fast fact. The Lincoln penny was first minted in 1909. It is the only U.S. coin on which the portrait faces to the right instead of the left. I'm Drew Thomas, and you're listening to Bank Chats. All right, so we're back to talk about something that we talked about a year plus ago.
A little bit over a year.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I think we talked about this in September of 2024.
Yeah.
And for those of you that haven't read the title,
Back then it was called, I think, A Penny for Your Thoughts was the title. Yeah.
something like that. Yeah. So if you haven't looked at the fantastic artwork that Jeff always puts together for these on the thumbnails on YouTube, or if you're listening to this and you haven't read the title of the episode, we're talking pennies again.
Yeah.
And this time we're talking pennies because there have been some serious developments since we had that conversation back in September of 2024.
Yeah. Like within the last few months, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Essentially, the U.S. decided somewhat out of the blue to just stop doing pennies.
Yeah.
Which we discussed, right? We talked about what that might look like.
Yeah.
And whether it was a good idea.
Right.
And now we're sort of faced with that.
Yeah. Now it's a real thing.
Yeah. And I don't know that any of us were really when did you hear about this? Because honestly, I did not hear about this until several months apparently after it had happened.
Yeah, I heard about it when President Trump made the order to cease, the production of pennies, but I didn't think anything of it for whatever reason.
Yeah,
I just didn't think it was a big deal. But yeah, now it's becoming a big deal.
I guess for me, I'm still not used to and I don't want to turn this into a political thing, but I'm just not used to the idea, I guess, of presidential orders being sort of just automatically followed through instantaneously. I mean, like there's a lot of presidents that have issued executive orders, and those executive orders don't really do anything.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently he signed this executive order in February of 25. Is that right?
Something like that. Yeah. I think I must have heard it in March then, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We thought that it was a good idea because it seems like right now there are there's a lot of confusion around how this is going to work.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening currently and when I say currently, I'm saying as of November of 2025, which is when we're recording this, and how this is going to look going forward. So we thought that as a public service, because that's what we do, and we talk money, let's talk about how this came about and where we're going to go from here.
Yeah.
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 Because we're awesome that way.
So this is a full episode. This would have been a good 2 cents too, because we wouldn't be able to call it a 2 cents anymore. We have to round it, right?
Yeah. That's fantastic. Yeah. You can't have 2 cents anymore. It's got to be, I guess it would round to zero.
Okay. Well, we might have to reconsider our name then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's start with just a brief introduction here, because I kind of put an outline together with this.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, we're not quite this structured when it comes, but I don't want to miss anything.
Yeah.
Because
there's a lot of information.
Yeah. So let's start. Obviously, like I said, if you want to go into the heavy details about why this was being debated, and I got documentation that says this was going back a lot further than I thought it was. Why this was being debated and all that, you can go back and listen to our episode from September of 2024. And we go into a whole discussion as to whether it's a good idea, a bad idea, what would we do? We'll touch on some of that stuff here, I think, today, but we're not going to go into as much detail as we did then. And then I want to talk about the proposed legislation and how the U.S. is likely to move forward from here.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So why was this being debated? Couple of things. Cost of production, right?
Of the penny. Yeah.
A cost of production of the penny.
It's like 3 cents, 3+ cents to make 1 penny.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Declining use, and then the cost. We kind of touched on this, I think. I didn't go back and listen to the other episode,
Okay.
but I think we talked about this. The cost to pick up a penny. Did we talk about that?
I think so. Yeah. Because it was like less than minimum wage to pick up a penny.
Yeah.
The amount of time it takes to actually pick up a penny. Yeah.
Yeah. I went and I actually did the math this time, which I don't remember if we actually did the math.
Okay. I don't think
time.
so. Yeah.
But the cost to pick up a penny, if it takes you 1 second to pick up a penny,
Okay.
right, that means that you got paid 1 cent per second,
Okay.
right? Because you picked up a penny that would, so
Yeah, right.
1 cent per second.
Right.
So 1 cent per second equals 60 cents a minute,
Okay.
right? 60 cents a minute equals $36 an hour. So you have to be making more than $36 an hour for it to be worth, or
No, you have to be making less.
less.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So as long as you're making less than $36 an hour,
Okay. So maybe we were wrong back
it's
then.
actually in your best interest to pick up a penny.
Yeah.
But let's be realistic.
Yeah.
I mean, how much is it? Although there have been some things happening recently that might make that more, even more of a good idea for you. With some of these retailers and some of the things they've been.
Okay.
We'll get to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so there's that. So you mentioned the cost of production. So cost of production, the U.S. Mint stated that the cost to make a penny in 2024 was 3.69 cents.
Okay.
So almost quadruple the value of the penny to make the penny.
Okay. What about other coins? I mean, I would assume that it takes a lot more than 5 cents to produce a nickel.
It does. It does.
So
as a matter of fact. Yeah.
where's that cutoff? I mean, does it take more than 25 cents to make a quarter? I mean,
no. So from what I was reading, it basically costs. The only two that don't make money,
okay.
Are the penny and the nickel.
Okay.
The penny costs 3.69 cents in 2024 to make 1 penny. It costs 13.78 cents to mint a nickel in 2024. So
almost 3 times the cost of a nickel, or the value of a nickel to produce a nickel. So how is that saving us money?
That's
If we're going to be using more nickels.
Theoretically, yeah. That's a really good question. So they do address that in some of the legislation that is currently being proposed.
Okay.
And we'll talk about that, but that's a really good question. I mean, you could argue that by doing this, you're going to need more nickels in production in circulation, right?
Right.
And if it costs 13 cents to make a nickel, and you're saving 3 cents by not making the penny. I still think you're at a net loss.
I would think so too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or more people are more apt to use nickels than pennies, because that was something I saw too, that like pennies really are just used to give change. Like not a lot of people pay in pennies.
Yeah.
So that's where some of the shortage is too. People are not necessarily hoarding pennies, but you usually receive pennies as change more often than you give pennies as payment. So
yeah.
Maybe nickels is the same, or is the opposite. Maybe more people are apt to pay in nickels than pennies, I guess. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I really don't know. I'm of the thing. I don't want to say I hardly ever pay in cash, because I do use cash, but I don't know that I don't really carry around pocket change anymore.
I don't either. Kelsey does. She's got her change book, and
really,
yeah. And anytime we're at a register and it's there's change involved,
oh wait, I have that.
Yeah. So I gotta wait there for another 45 seconds till she digs around and finds exact change.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
well, that's good. I mean, at least somebody's
we're
using
contributing, I guess.
Yeah, somebody's using them. So a 2005 national survey found that 82% of the population saves their change, which accumulates to billions of dollars in coins that are just sitting around in people's houses in jars and buckets and dryer lint traps,
couches,
and things like that. I guess the thing is, and I don't know that it's necessarily inflation per se, but I think it's the fact that you can buy so little with less than $1 these days
Yeah.
that scrounging through the couch cushions and looking for change, it used to be you could make a phone call with a dime, you could make a phone call with a quarter, you
Yeah.
could
Penny candy. Yeah.
yeah, penny candy.
Yeah.
Now it's almost not worth going through your couch cushions looking for coins because you can't buy anything with what you find.
That's a good. That's good. Yeah. Yeah.
So people just kind of throw them in jars and just, I have a jar. I have a
Me
coin
too.
jar at home,
Yeah.
and it just, anytime I
getting-
do get coin, I just throw it in there,
Getting more full. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. A CNN business article from May of 2025
Okay.
stated that there are an estimated 114 billion pennies currently in circulation, but that they are severely underutilized, according to the Treasury Department. The math says that 114 billion pennies could fill a cube roughly 13 stories high. That's like 140 feet by 140 feet by 140
Wow.
feet.
Okay.
They could fill the. So I was like, well, how much is that? It's a little under the height of the Statue of Liberty without the base.
Okay.
So if you take from the feet,
I love your
not the
measurements,
base,
yeah.
but the feet of the Statue of Liberty to almost to the tip of the torch,
Yeah.
and then made that a cube, you could fill it with pennies, with as many that are currently in circulation right now.
Huh.
Statue of Liberty also incidentally made mostly of copper.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. Well, our pennies aren't mostly made of copper. They're mostly made of zinc now, but
True.
I mean, not anymore. But
Well, the skin.
I guess. Yeah. The same. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
true.
it's steel inside the Statue of Liberty, but the skin,
That's true.
copper.
Yeah. Yeah. So not. I mean, not, I guess that's a large number and a large measurement, but that's not as many pennies as I would have thought in circulation in the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. The thing is, I think that, and we're going to get to some of the consternation that's happening with businesses and people right now over oh my gosh, the mint has stopped making pennies. What do we do? I think the answer is you get people to get the pennies out of their house and start putting them back into circulation, which some businesses are trying to incentivize people to do.
They are. Yeah.
But sometimes, and I was looking at there's a YouTube video out there. I'm sure there are probably several. People have literally made flooring out of pennies.
Oh yeah. They use it for their arts and crafts. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, well, you can't get those back if they're covered in resin and they're being used as your floor in your kitchen, right?
Hey, people aren't going to be throwing pennies into the wishing wells anymore. You're going to be making a 5-cent wish now, right?
Yeah. Even wishes are subject to inflation.
They are.
Yeah. So do you think the pennies? So that becomes the other question.
Okay.
If the U.S. Mint stops making pennies,
Yes.
right? Are pennies then going to become more valuable because they're harder to come by?
Not based on your statistic of how many are in circulation now. No.
Okay.
I mean, there may be some. I mean, like the 2025, the last year that it's minted, theoretically, that's probably going to be, it could be a collector's item, right? It could be worth some more than the face value of it.
Yeah.
But we've seen that in the past with like bicentennial quarters. People hoarded bicentennial quarters and they're still not worth more than 25 cents now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, certain years, I would say that pennies are going to be worth, but there's certain years now that pennies are worth a lot of money.
Sure.
It's not going to be worth any more money, 10 years down the road, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you. I just that's a good question. I mean, so basically, the idea is that businesses need pennies.
Mm-hmm.
People need pennies now, right? Because to make cash transactions, continuing to hoard them, and I would argue people have already been they've been hoarding them. They've
on
just been
purpose.
using them for something other than their intended purpose.
Yeah, they're not hoarding them on purpose.
Yeah.
They put them in a jar, right?
Yeah, because it's like, I
don't want to deal with this. Yeah.
Yeah. So continuing to hoard them or turning them into a thing where we're like, oh, I have this whole jar of pennies, I'm going to keep it because it's going to be worth more later, is not really likely.
Right.
You're probably more likely, quite frankly, to get something out of them now than you are 10 years from now.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, they're still going to be considered legal tender for the foreseeable future, so it's not like you can't turn them back in, 10 years from now, theoretically, I guess.
Yeah. And the government isn't paying for them, but some businesses are.
Yes.
We've seen just recently, and again, this is going to air, in November. We're recording it in November, but who knows what 2026 is going to bring. But even already locally, we've seen at least 2 different businesses that were offering either like free sodas or something like that at a convenience store that's around here. We had a grocery store around here that was offering to double your pennies last weekend.
Did you see what the numbers were on that?
I did not.
I had it written down somewhere. Like they doubled whatever you had given up to what, $100.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, so the what they said was if you had anywhere from as little as 50 cents to as much as $100,
okay,
they would double it in a gift card to their store. Okay. So 50 cents became $1, $100 became $200.
Right.
Yeah.
So the results were in. They had collected 100 million pennies in that one day.
Wow.
So they gave out more than $2 million in gift cards.
Yeah, but you know what? That $2 million is going to be spent at their store.
I know. They're hoarding all the pennies now. I was just going to say the same thing. Yeah.
But it's actually kind of brilliant. Because now you have to use those gift cards at their store, and they're going to get that money back.
Yeah.
In sales.
Yeah.
Right. It was actually a pretty smart idea on their part. The question then becomes, why are businesses worried so much about this? Because of the way that the proposed legislation says that it's going to work. Mm-hmm. And I think the issue is right now that it is indeed proposed legislation.
Yeah, it's not passed yet. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's I went back and I looked, and this is definitely not the first time that legislation has been proposed to get rid of the penny.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
So there was proposed legislation in 1989.
Okay.
Not the Taylor Swift CD. Okay. This is
and I wasn't a thing yet, so that's why I don't know anything about this.
Were you really not?
I was not. I was a 90 baby. 1990.
Oh man. Yeah. All right. Anyway, so a year before Jeff was born, there was legislation put forward called the Price Rounding Act of 1989, and it would have prescribed guidelines for rounding prices to the nearest 5 cents, including taxes. So essentially what they're proposing now, they proposed, 30 plus odd years ago.
35 years ago. Yeah.
Then again, in 2007, there was a proposal called the Make No Sense Until It Makes Sense Act.
Some of these names are great.
I know, right? This would have prohibited the production of any 1 cent coin until the Secretary of the Treasury and the Chairman of the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System separately certified in writing that there was no surplus of 1 cent coins anywhere in the U.S. That's a bit of a mouthful.
Yeah.
But
so what does that mean?
Well, I think it means exactly what we were just talking about. It was the idea that there were already so many pennies in circulation
that stopping the mint wouldn't do anything.
Right. So the idea was that until you could prove that nobody had a whole bunch of pennies squirreled away in their basement, you couldn't make it. You couldn't make any more pennies, right. 1 cent coins. I guess we talked about technically they're not a penny. They're a 1 cent piece.
Coin.
Yeah, 1 cent piece. But for the sake of purposes, it's the penny.
Yeah.
We all know it as a penny.
Right.
So that was what they proposed in 2007. Yeah. 2017, there was this is even worse.
Okay.
The Currency Optimization, Innovation, and National Savings Act of 2017, which was a Senate proposal, would have suspended production of 1 cent coins for a period of 10 years, allowing the mint to produce them only for numismatic purposes, and required a GAO study on the future of the 1 cent piece.
So it was going to be a trial run type thing.
Basically, yeah, I think so. And then there were at least 3 bills submitted in 2025, including the Common Sense Act, which we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
So the issue here, I think, becomes the fact that without the Common Sense Act having been passed, and the U.S. Mint has already started or stopped production of the penny, and they originally thought that their blanks were going to last until 2026, but they didn't. They already ran out. So they're no longer minting any pennies. People are kind of losing their mind because there are some laws on the books, specifically local government, city. I don't know if there's any state laws on the books about this, that prohibit you from charging more for cash transactions than an
Then a
electronic,
card. Okay. Yeah.
right? And I think that's where a lot of these businesses are starting to feel the pressure because
So they can't. So if the law went into place, that would force these retailers to readjust their pricing so that everyone would be. Doesn't matter if it was card or cash, it would make sense. Like you wouldn't have to take a hit as a company to round down.
yeah, so
Okay.
so kind of that. So right now they are taking a hit. That's
Yeah.
the thing.
Yeah.
Without this law being passed yet, a lot of these businesses are nervous that there could be legal ramifications for rounding up the way that the law proposes them to do.
No,
Right.
makes sense. Yeah.
Now, how many people are really going to make a big deal and file a lawsuit over 2 cents, which is essentially what you'd be doing?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. And I mean, even personally, there's been times like, everybody knows I pay cash. So
Yeah.
cash guy paying cash at the window, and I don't even realize I don't get change back because it was like 2 cents or something like that. And then I just drive past, like, so.
Or you throw it in the take a penny.
Or
give you
yeah,
anything, right. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I don't know how many people would put up a fuss for that kind of stuff either.
Yeah.
And it's, a couple cents.
Or you give it to your wife and she puts it in
Her purse. Yeah, and we use it next time. Yeah, you're right. That happens quite often. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of coins. I know there's some coins definitely rattling around in the they don't really put ashtrays in cars anymore, but there's little pockets that are now like where the ashtray used to be.
Yeah.
That sort of become sort of like little collection bins. And I have coins in there that I can use sometimes if I happen to come across a parking meter or something that still takes coins.
Yeah.
They never take pennies. They haven't taken pennies since I was a kid. I don't think you can put pennies in a.
No, I think
thing.
there was a few in Pittsburgh that I saw still took dimes as of a few years ago. But
Really?
Yeah.
So let's talk. So here's the deal. The Common Sense Act of 2025, which is what is currently in the House right now, it got out of the House Finance Committee.
Okay.
And is currently sitting there waiting, as we are currently still in the government shutdown as we record this.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So it's still just sitting there.
Yeah.
It states that the Secretary of the Treasury shall cease production of 1 cent coins for general circulation, but may continue to produce and issue 1 cent coins for sale as numismatic items. So let's stop here. What's a numismatic?
So I didn't know until you said anything. Yeah.
So
coin collectors.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
So if you want to collect 1 cent, so those coins that you see at like 3 o'clock in the morning that are, buy this thing,
infomercials.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
I guess for that kind of stuff.
Normally it's like state quarters or, some special presidential coin, or now it's going to be pennies.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the next part is states, the act states that all 1 cent coins minted and issued on any date prior to the enactment of the law shall remain legal tender for all debts, public charges, taxes, and dues. So like you said, indefinitely, essentially, right? You'll be able to use you'll be able to continue to use the pennies you have as money.
Okay. At their face value. Yeah.
At their face value. Correct. It addresses the cost of producing the 5 cent coin, which you brought up earlier.
Okay.
And allows for adjustments to be made to the composition of the 5 cent coin, which we call the nickel, obviously, to aid in the production cost reduction.
So how they're allowed to make it cheaper if they can.
If they can.
Yes.
Right. So if they can find some sort of alloy or something like that to make the bulk of the coin out of and then just plate it in nickel or something like that, to try to drive that cost down to producing nickels.
Okay.
And then finally, it requires that all cash transactions be rounded up or down to the nearest 5 cents.
Okay.
Okay. So that would make it law that says that it's okay if you're paying in cash, right? That if the value of your purchase is $5.98, right? That I could charge you $6.
Okay.
Okay.
But if you're paying with an electronic method, it still would be the original price.
Correct.
Okay.
It would still be $5.98 if you paid with a card, right? Gotcha. Now, there are some people that argue, and they could be right about this, I don't know, that argue that some of these local laws that state right now that you have to pay in exact change, that you have to give exact change, right, makes sure that people who are disproportionately lower income, they tend to pay more with cash for some reason.
Okay.
Whether it's because they can't get a bank account, they can't get approved for a credit card, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So the idea is that you're some of these laws are put on the book saying that it's not fair to disproportionately target cash transactions for the people that can least afford to pay more, right, to make them round up.
Okay.
Right. Now, again, we're talking as much as 2 cents.
Right.
Right. Because, if it's 101, 102, if it's 101, 102, it goes.
I saw a photo of
down
like
to 100
describing this, and it was like 4 different lines. Like if it ends in a 2 or a 3, it rounds, or 1 or 2, it
rounds down.
0.
Yeah.
3 or 4 rounds to 5.
Yeah. 5 is 5.
5 is 5. 6, 7 rounds down to 5. 8, 9 rounds up to 0.
Right.
Okay.
So all things considered, you're probably gonna break even essentially at some point, especially if you're like you and you pay a lot in cash.
Yeah.
You're probably going to break even because in some transactions you're going to gain 2 cents and some you're going to lose 2 cents.
Yeah.
Right.
You think people are going to be buying more in bulk and trying to do less transactions now? That, I mean, again, it's not like it's a lot of money, but I guess the least amount of transactions could be the least amount of money lost out of your pocket for rounding, I guess.
Well, so that I'm glad you said that, because that is where we're running into with these businesses. It's not a lot of money to you.
Right. But it's a lot of money to the business. Yeah,
right.
You're right.
It's not a lot of money to you.
Right.
To you, it's as much as 2 cents.
Yeah.
To a business, right, it could be a lot more. So according to a BBC article from October 31st, 2025, businesses are desperate for pennies because of these local governments that often require businesses to charge the same price or less. You can pay less for cash. Like there are laws that say like
you can give a discount.
Pay less for cash, right? For cash transactions as they do for checks or debit credit cards, right? Some cities, like New York City. So we're not talking like little towns here. We're talking New York City.
Metropolitan New York City, yeah.
Yeah, millions of people.
Yeah.
Right? Require retailers to give exact change. Okay. So to avoid a potential lawsuit, many businesses have chosen to round down to the nickel, even if the rounding should go up, which potentially causes a business to lose up to 4 cents per transaction. Well, because they would normally round down for 1 and 2 anyway.
Yeah.
But now they're also running down for 3 and 4
instead
of rounding up to 5, right?
Yeah.
So the convenience store Quick Trip, which, I mean, sidebar.
Okay.
Have you ever noticed that Quick Trip only advertises at Christmas for like some poor schlep that can't get home, and somebody sends them a Quick Trip gift card for gas, and somehow they can travel across the country and get home for Christmas?
Yeah. I can't honestly say that I remember any Quick Trip commercials whatsoever. They're not very memorable to me, but I'll take your word for it.
You'll probably remember it the next time you see one, because because we're getting into that time of year when they seem to. It's the only time I ever see advertisements for Quick Trip is whenever they're advertising somebody that can't get home for the holidays, and somebody sends them a Quick Trip gift card, and suddenly they can.
So at 11 o'clock at night one day, I'm gonna text Drew. I saw one.
I saw the Quick Trip gift card. It's probably on the Hallmark Channel whenever you're watching the Christmas.
Oh yeah, that's coming up. Like that.
Yeah. So anyway, Quick Trip said that they now anticipate losing up to $3 million this year.
Wow.
Because of the rounding down on cash transactions, because they have so many stores and so many transactions per day that it multiplies out to the idea that they're doing it because the federal law has not been passed yet. Right. So it's technically still illegal for them to round up, and we live in such a litigious society anymore that I guess so many businesses are just terrified that somebody's going to sue them over this.
Yeah, and this is a bad time of year for this to happen too. We're coming into the holiday season, so I mean, people were Christmas shopping more, so
Yeah.
businesses are going to be losing a lot more money if they're rounding down.
Yeah. And so the question becomes realistically, like, who, when I was reading about this I'm looking at this different stuff, and I don't know how you feel about this, but do you remember when Facebook used to be popular?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I remember Farmville and, poking people. Right.
Okay. So when Facebook, and then there was a time when Facebook changed, they made like their first like major change to their interface.
Okay. Yeah.
And people lost their mind over the idea that the menu had changed and the stuff was in a different place than they were used to.
Yeah.
And then everybody just kind of got used to it. It was not a big deal. And then Facebook, like 2 or 3 years later, made another change, and people lost their mind again. Right? You're messing with my heritage or my whatever. It was like
people get used to change. It takes a little bit of time, but everybody gets used to change. I mean, if you didn't, then I don't know what would happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think there's something to be said for the fact that right now, I think there's a lot of hand-wringing happening over this. But if you think about it, and if you're the type of person that normally pays in cash and whatever, if you're honest with yourself,
Mm-hmm.
I don't imagine that there are a lot of people who really got upset if they didn't have a penny or two. And we're literally talking up to 2 cents here, right?
Right.
One way or the other.
Yeah.
All right. You had the take a penny, give a penny at like every register for that exact reason, because people didn't want the change back, so they'd throw it in there.
Yeah.
And then there was this idea that, hey, one day I need a penny, I can just take one. Right. They were just literally sitting on the counter for any
right as a
grab.
convenience. Like I said, I mean, you get paid in pennies. You really pay with pennies. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, is it really true or realistic that these businesses are worried that somebody's going to sue them over 2 cents per transaction? I don't know.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to insult anybody who literally feels like that hey, those 2 cents matter.
I'm getting gypped. Yeah.
I mean, I get it. I mean, I was a struggling college student at one point in my life. I mean, I understand that to some people, every penny matters. But you're also considering the fact that, you could potentially be gaining and losing, just like it's kind of like the give a penny, take a penny, right? On one transaction, you're going to benefit 2 cents. On another transaction, you might lose 2 cents, but all things being equal, you're probably going to just about break even.
Yeah.
When all is said and done.
Right.
Right.
Do you think more people are going to start? I mean, I know electronic payments, debit cards, credit cards, they're the most common form of payment now. Do you think that's going to be even more so now that the penny is gone away?
I mean,
do you think that's going to not force people, but persuade people to use electronic payments more?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends. I don't know. Well, let me ask you. You're a cash guy. Is that going to present? Is it going to promote you to use the electronic transactions even more?
Yeah, I don't know. It probably would depend on the total, the cost.
Well, yeah, it doesn't. But I mean, all things considered, it doesn't really matter what it is, because you're literally. I mean, you could be buying a $1 billion plane.
Yeah.
But if the $1 billion, I don't know if they make $1 billion planes, but if they make, let's talk, a $10 million, Boeing 747.
Yeah.
If it ends up being 47 cents, it's still $1 billion and 45 cents.
Yeah.
Whatever. So
I guess it doesn't really matter then. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. So I went back and looked, and other countries have done this, and we did mention that. I know we talked about that back in September of last year.
Yeah.
But I did want to mention that in this one too, just to sort of, I don't know, reassure people.
We're not
maybe
trendsetters. Yeah. I mean,
yeah, like this has been done and done successfully.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, in other countries. The most recent, I think, was probably Canada. The Economic Action Plan of 2012 in Canada is when they announced they were eliminating their 1 cent coin. At the time, it was costing their government 1.6 cents to produce their penny. So they were a little bit more assertive than we were. They waited until it cost a half as much to over the cost to eliminate.
Yeah.
We waited until it was almost 4 times as much to do the same thing.
Right.
But Canada was following in the footsteps of other countries. Australia, Norway, Switzerland, and the United Kingdom have all removed their lowest denomination coin and done it quite effectively.
Yeah.
And essentially, they did what the Common Sense Act of 2025 is suggesting, in that the coins still remain legal tender, right? If you have a penny or whatever, I think it's actually, I don't know, penny in Canada. I
really?
remember.
Okay.
Maybe not.
I don't know.
But if you have a penny in Canada, you can still spend it.
Okay.
It's indefinitely still considered legal tender. Non-cash transactions are still settled, or were still settled to the cent, just like we're proposing here.
Okay.
So I think the issue here is not so much the getting rid of the penny. It's the fact that we kind of put the cart before the horse. We eliminated production of the penny before the law was in place that told businesses and organizations what they were legally allowed to do about those transactions that are needing to be rounded one way or the other.
Yeah. So how does that going to affect like banks? I mean, if someone comes in with a paycheck that ends, not in a 0 or a 5, are we going to, require them to deposit that check to be able to give them their full amount? Or, I mean, would a bank round too? That hasn't really.
Really, that's a good question, and I would imagine that every bank is going to have to make that decision.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really want to make sure that everybody gets to the penny what they're supposed to get, you might have to simply tell them, hey, listen, we can deposit to the penny, but we can only provide cash to the nickel.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Okay.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
Because if electronics are to the penny, then, if I come in with a check for $887.42, right, and I say, hey, just, deposit $800, give me the rest in cash.
Then you would have to round.
Yeah, they might have to say, like, all right, well, listen, I can either give you 80 cents.
Yeah.
Or 40 cents, whatever I said. Yeah. I can't even remember what I said.
Right. So 40 cents, or deposit that 42 cents into your account. Right.
Yeah. If you're really insistent on making it to the penny, it's just going to have to be deposited to the penny in your account electronically.
Yeah.
But these are all questions that should be asked and answered before you will remove the piece from production.
Yeah. You would think. Yeah. To have a plan prior. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, and going back to what we started talking about too, there is a thing where you simply could just go through your house and try to find some pennies. I mean,
What, and even it out to the nearest 5 or 0, pay a little bit extra or
no, I mean, just take them out of the jar and actually start using
them. Okay.
And I think that's where, again, like some of these businesses are trying to acquire pennies because they don't want to be like this, Quick Trip or whatever that's, saying that they could lose $3 million a year in cash transactions. So they need pennies on hand, and they can't get them from their banks anymore because the banks can't order them from the federal government anymore. The federal mint, I mean.
The mint. Yeah.
So if the banks can't get them, they can't just go to the bank like they used to and say, "Hey, give me a box of $100 worth of pennies." Like, sorry, can't give them to you.
Right.
We don't have them. So this is very interesting. I honestly don't know that I expected this to ever actually happen in the United States, because we debate things to death. I mean, my goodness, this has been debated since 1989.
Right, and you know what? And whether this sticks or not, we don't know either. I mean, we could find out that this completely fails, and everybody revolts, and we go back to minting pennies. You never know.
I hope not. I mean, whether it's being done right or not, I think we've already gone down the road far enough that it just should be allowed to play itself out.
Yeah.
Especially if there are, what did I say, 114 billion pennies
in circulation
out there somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be that hard to scrounge a few of them up. I mean, not everybody used them and encased them in resin for their kitchen floor. I mean, there are definitely pennies in jars and cars and
on sidewalks. Yeah.
Sidewalks. Yeah. In your couch cushions, wherever that you can find.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised, though, at least in the short term until this law is passed, to see more businesses doing sort of promotions where they are trying to, entice people to bring their pennies into them for their change use and things like that.
Yeah. So they save money. Yeah.
Yeah. So, to your point of like, don't hoard them, right? I mean, you actually might get more for your, I mean, that the grocery store that was doing a 2-for-1 deal.
Yeah.
I don't know that you're going to get a better deal on a penny than doubling it.
Oh yeah. Right.
I mean, who knows? We may be doing this again in a couple months, having a conversation about this.
Once the law passes. Yeah. If there was any amendments or anything like that, what's come of it. Yeah.
Be very curious to hear from people. I mean, we have a link in the description all the time where you can provide feedback about the show.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't get used that much. So we'd love to know people's opinions. If you're watching us on YouTube, leave a comment. If you're listening to us on the podcast through Apple or Spotify or whatever,
or
there's
website,
a link in the description, or our prebsite.
Yeah.
There's a way for you can provide feedback. I'd love to know what people think about this. Are they upset about the penny going away? Are they not?
Mm-hmm.
Did they even
does
notice?
It matter to them? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, does it?
To people who pay electronically, it doesn't really matter at all, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you're primarily a debit or credit card user or if you're still writing checks at the grocery store, I need to talk to you because you're holding me up. It's taking too long. A debit card does the exact same thing without you having to stand there and write the check. But technically, you can still do that to the penny and it'll still work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Once the government opens up, we'll have a better idea.
Yeah, honestly, I'm really hoping that by the time this actually is out there, and we typically don't record these that far in advance.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping that by the time this airs, that the government is reopened. So that when you're listening to this, that isn't an issue anymore. And maybe this bill has already moved forward.
Yeah.
At the pace that our government tends to go, I doubt that it's going to move forward that fast, but it might.
But if it's that big of a deal and retailers are, complaining and people are complaining, maybe it will get pushed a little bit faster than normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'd have to think that some of these local governments are going to have to amend some of their local laws too, because you can't have a national law that says round it up to or down to the nearest 5 cents and then have a local law that says, hey, you got to give us that change.
Right.
And that's,
right.
So, and hopefully local government, you would think, because it's a smaller area, could move faster than, but again, when you're talking about a city the size of New York, this isn't affecting 25 people in some small town in Iowa. Like this is that's a big deal. So you can understand why these businesses, again, when they're multiplying these transactions, it's 2 cents to you, but it's 2 cents times
however many customers
5,000
that day.
stores,
right.
times 5,000 transactions per store to that business. Right. So I get it. I mean, I get why they're kind of worried about what to do, and they're erring on the side of caution to provide, the error rounding in the customer's benefit, but it's really costing some of these businesses to do that.
Sure is. Yeah.
And so if you are a cash paying customer or something, keep that in mind, particularly with your small businesses and things. I mean, November is Small Business, Saturday, and we champion small businesses a lot. Entrepreneurship Month. Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Don't make your neighbor sweat the fact that they're giving you 2 cents one way or the other.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
No, possibly to be continued.
Possibly to be continued. I feel like it's the end of that Back to the Future. They're like, to be continued. Yeah. All right. Well, hey. I think I've paid more than a penny for your thoughts.
We'll round. That's all right.
We'll round. All right. All right.
Thanks, Joe. This podcast focuses on having valuable conversations on various topics related to banking and financial health. The podcast is grounded in having open conversations with professionals and experts with the goal of helping to take some of the mystery out of financial and related topics, as learning about financial products and services can help you make more informed financial decisions. Please keep in mind that the information contained within this podcast and any resources available for download from our website or other resources relating to Bank Chats is not intended and should not be understood or interpreted to be financial advice. The hosts, guests, and production staff of Bank Chats expressly recommend that you seek advice from a trusted financial professional before making financial decisions. The hosts of Bank Chats are not attorneys, accountants, or financial advisors, and the program is simply intended as one source of information. The podcast is not a substitute for a financial professional who is aware of the facts and circumstances of your individual situation.
To people living in the United States in 1857, having half-cent coins rattling around in their pockets was considered normal. To us, it's history. I think we all tend to believe that the way it is the way it always will be, but that's just not so. To force a bad pun, change is inevitable. Despite that fact, people tend to dislike it. We don't generally enjoy being forced out of our comfort zone, but when that happens, we discover a new normal. Whether it's good or bad largely depends on your outlook. I don't think the phrase, "a nickel for your thoughts," is ever going to catch on, but you never know. I guess my point is, try not to get too frazzled by this new normal. With 114 billion of them out there, pennies are likely to be around at least as long as you want them to be. And rounding cash transactions up or down over enough time means we're all going to break even. AmeriServ Presents Bank Chats is produced and distributed by AmeriServ Financial Incorporated. Music by Schneckmind. Our executive producer is Jeffrey McTavish. You can enjoy all of our episodes on your favorite podcast app, or you can find us on YouTube. For now, I'm Drew Thomas. So long.